is a special day for me personally, not just because I'm here in Seattle and getting a chance to speak with you, but also because it is the second anniversary of the day that my son's adoption became legal. So 2 years ago today, we were standing in a Seattle courtroom in front of a judge. It's a rather quick but momentous process, and he was about 7.5 months old at the time, and the judge asks you a series of questions in terms of, do you understand what this means in terms of legally being this child's parents and responsible for him? And of course my husband and I were pretty teary-eyed at the end, but August 10th will forever be a special day. I don't want to say that's the day we became a family, because as far as I'm concerned, that day happened on his birthday, when we got to hold him for the first time. But he's doing great. For those of you who remember me talking about him before, he's 2.5 now, talking up a storm. He loves PJ Masks. If you have little toddlers at home, you probably know what I'm talking about. He runs around the house thinking he's a gecko. Anyway, the other thing I wanted to mention before we get to questions is that we have a new product launching in the next few days. Some of you may be aware of it, but it is our Resist Anti-Aging Eye Gel. And I don't have it to show you. I'm saving that for someone else to do, but it's a very cool formula. I have personally been using it for the past several months. It has 16 specific anti-aging ingredients in the formula. Very silky, lightweight, so it's basically the polar opposite of our eye cream, which is more balm-like, and you kind of pat it on, and it's very rich and great for use at night. I love the eye gel to use during the day, under my SPF product, or under your concealer or foundation that has sunscreen. Don't forget the sunscreen around the eyes. Very nice, refreshing, cooling, without irritants. I'm very excited for you to try it and let us know what you think. So that'll be out very, very soon. And with that, I guess we can move into questions.
We have two questions about two different oils that people are wondering about. One is Tamanu oil.
Yep.
And the other is Marula oil, and they're wondering what you think for skincare.
Both Tamanu, which of course has a Latin name that's about 18 syllables, and Marula oil, they're both very good non-fragrant oils for skin. More so for dry skin, because they are oils, although if you have oily skin that isn't prone to breakouts, you may find oils can be helpful for those times when your skin is feeling a little dehydrated or looking flaky. What I would stress about any single oil is that it's preferable, just like with antioxidants. Vitamin C is a great ingredient, retinol is a great ingredient, green tea is a great ingredient, but I would never tell someone just use a skincare product with that ingredient. You always want to give your skin a blend of great ingredients, just like you want a blend of healthy ingredients in your diet. Now, oils are a little different, because it would be easy for me to say a single oil isn't going to be the skincare answer, which is true. But what's interesting about oils is that they're made up of many different components, different fatty acids and different ratios. Tamanu oil has a higher amount of oleic acid and palmitic acid. Marula oil, I believe, just off the top of my head, I believe that is higher in linoleic acid. And then each oil has its share of different antioxidants. That makes them a bit more complex and not necessarily just one note. However, if you used Marula oil or Tamanu oil instead of a well-formulated moisturizer or serum that contains some non-fragrant plant oil, different antioxidants, skin-restoring ingredients like peptides or retinol, water-binding agents, soothing agents, those are all great ingredients for skin that you're not getting from just a straight oil. So nothing wrong with either one of those oils. They're not irritating. They can be great for dry skin. You can use them from head to toe. You could even use them in your hair. But I wouldn't rely on them as my sole skin. I wouldn't say, yes, use this instead of a moisturizer or serum.
How long, or Skulls Ivor asks, how long does it take for a pimple to form?
Oh, that's a good question. I have seen different research and theories on that. The general one that I've seen, the comment I've seen the most is that it takes about 4 to 6 weeks from germination in the lower layers of the skin until you see a pimple on the surface. It can also depend on the type of breakout it is. So what most people would consider a pimple or a zit, I would say maybe 3 to 4 weeks to form. If it's deeper in the skin, those can take longer, but there isn't a hard and fast rule. Some people might experience a breakout after they use a new product or a new collection of products. It can be confusing because in many cases those breakouts aren't acne. It's not the same thing. It's an irritant response to one or more ingredients in the products, or a combination of how the new product interacts with something that's already in your routine. And of course, it makes more sense to blame the new product because everything was fine until you introduced this product and now you have breakouts. It might be something in that new product, but it could also be the interaction between the new product and something you've always used. But the irritant response can result in little bumps on the skin right on the surface that can look like acne, but it isn't. And they often don't respond to the same types of treatments that you would use to get acne under control. So it can be a little tricky, and of course you can actually have the irritant response and breakouts from acne at the same time. Most people will find that a leave-on product with salicylic acid, beta-hydroxy acid, can help take those bumps down. And you can also talk to your doctor if you suspect it's an irritant response to new products. First of all, stop the offending product and talk to your doctor or healthcare provider about using a topical hydrocortisone product to calm the inflammation and irritation. That's exactly what they're for.
Alex wants to know, what should I apply after shaving or trimming body hair? Would Calm Redness Relief Toner and a moisturizer be a good choice?
Yeah, absolutely. Any product that is fragrance-free and packed with soothing ingredients that can reduce signs of sensitivity. The Calm Toner, the Calm Serum, the Resist Advanced Replenishing Toner would be another good one. Our Resist Ultralight Antioxidant Concentrate. Those are all sheer products. And the sheerness can be helpful because you're getting that hydration and the calming, but you're not gunking up the area, particularly, if you just removed a bunch of hair. Is this a man asking? We can't tell.
I don't really know.
Let's assume
Alex
that,
is quite a...
Yeah, that's right. Well, okay. If you're a guy and you've removed a bunch of hair from your chest, for example, it would feel much better to layer on a sheer toner or serum than a thick cream, right? You don't want that filmy feeling all over your chest. But absolutely anything that soothes the skin, that can help diminish or potentially eliminate the appearance of that bumpiness that can occur after shaving. And of course, always make sure if you're using a razor that it's a clean blade. Rinse it often. Don't ever shave bare skin. I've seen a lot of guys do that. They just take the razor to their chest and start stroking, and it's not good for the skin. You always want to put a barrier between your skin and the razor. So at the very least, use your girlfriend's hair conditioner. Even like a liquid hand soap is better than nothing. But shaving cream would be great. PC for men, shave, even better. I love that stuff.
Christopher Lasley says, hey Bryan, have you ever heard of mixing ascorbic acid with some carrier oils, like your moisture oil booster, to help the ascorbic acid penetrate deeper into the skin?
I haven't heard of that. I have seen different products where you get the ascorbic acid powder that you mix into some sort of a carrier product, and they're usually water-based. Ascorbic acid is inherently water-soluble. So there are oil-soluble forms of vitamin C, tetrahexyl diesel ascorbate being one of them, or magnesium ascorbyl palmitate. And those show up, we use those and other forms in our serums, which don't have any water in them, and so the vitamin C can remain active and it will do what's called solubilize into the formula. I would be a little hesitant without seeing some research or double checking with a cosmetic chemist to mix ascorbic acid powder with an oil. I would rather you try mixing it with a water-based product like a toner or a water-based moisturizer. Even if that toner or moisturizer has some oil in it, the water base will allow the ascorbic acid, which again is water soluble, to work its way into the formula.
Angie Olson says, "Hi Bryan, so glad you are doing a live chat. I seem to be getting more and more spider veins on my face. What am I doing wrong? I use gentle products, mainly PC and sunscreen. Should I stop using retinol?"
I would say no. I've never seen any skincare ingredient implicated in causing that issue. Spider veins are largely something that you need to speak with a dermatologist about controlling and treating. There are no skincare solutions for this concern, unfortunately. I'm prone to them too, and I've had them zapped in the doctor's office. It kind of feels like a rubber band snapping against your skin, and it's a little hot, but it works, and it's a fleeting pain sensation. It's tolerable. They can give you numbing cream if you're sensitive and just want to not feel anything. What else was I going to say? The concern of spider veins and how many you have. It's more of a problem with fair skin. It's more of a problem if you are of Northern European descent. Hello. And it typically tends to be hereditary. So chances are you have family members, aunts, uncles, cousins that have the same concern. But the take-home message is, gotta go see a doctor. Never seen any research that skincare ingredients cause this issue. And there really isn't anything you can do via skincare to help them go away. They won't. They need to be zapped.
Hembe95 says, "So excited for this. Love you, Bryan.
Aww.
What should I try for rosacea, super sensitive, dehydrated skin to help with clogged pores and redness? My skin doesn't like the calm 1% BHA."
My skin loves that product. And I'm kind of like almost in that same bucket of concerns. So let's assume that you're using other Paula's Choice products, or at the very least you're using all of your products are fragrance free, don't contain any sensitizing ingredients, no skin aggravating substances, no natural fragrant oils. I know they smell fantastic, keep them in the candle. In terms of the exfoliant, if your skin isn't liking the calm BHA, I would say try the Resist Daily Pore Refining Treatment with 2% BHA. We don't have any other 1% BHA options, so if you're concerned that your sensitive skin may not like 2% BHA, I still think you should give this a try because it's just so soothing. But if 2% BHA proves to be too much for your skin, you may want to take a look at the Resist Daily Smoothing Treatment. That is 5% AHA along with 0.5% of BHA. And what I like about that product, even though I typically wouldn't say AHAs are the way to go for really sensitive skin, we have buffered that lotion so much with these really powerful curcumin-based soothing agents that I really think even people with sensitive skin can use this AHA lotion without causing any negative effects. You'll just see the benefits, and then you're still getting that 0.5% salicylic acid, which can help with the appearance of clogged pores and rough skin texture.
Melania asks, "Why do my whiteheads get better if I stop washing my face one day and leave the oils as they are. Does existing oils stop the buildup in my pores? What can I use from your skincare line for this?
We don't have any products specifically for milia. That is this type of bump on the skin. I mean, BHA exfoliants can help to a certain extent, but this issue is really, it's kind of like spider veins. It's one of those things that you need to make friends with your dermatologist and say, I need your help with these and getting them under control, because skincare is only going to take you so far. Reread the earlier part of her question. I was...
Right. It's a little complicated.
Yeah.
So she stops washing her face one day to leave the oils as they are.
Okay. It's a good question that I don't have a immediate answer for. I can tell you what I suspect might be occurring is that the content of the oil, or technically it's called sebum, that our skin produces, and really we call it oil, but technically it's more of a wax-like substance. It's one of the reasons the whole concept of like dissolving like, oil dissolving oil, doesn't really apply to oily skin, and your skin kind of still feels greasy after you use an oil, ostensibly to remove the oil, because the oil your skin produces isn't really 100% oil. It's a mix of different substances. Some of the substances in that oil do have calming properties. So, what I suspect and what you're seeing is that the calming properties in the oil that makes it to the skin's surface are somehow having an effect on the appearance of the bumps. That's the best I can do. Otherwise, I can't explain what you're seeing. I'm presuming you're not using a drying cleanser or pure soap or anything like that. In terms of the best of our products to use to help improve the appearance of the bumps, I would steer you towards BHA 9 and apply that once per day at night. But again, when milia is the concern, you need to go see a dermatologist to get them under control. I wish there was a better answer for that, but that's why you don't see a ton of products on the market saying eliminates milia. They're stubborn little buggers.
Tiffany James needs a moisturizing cleanser for sensitive skin. She says she's tried the Moisture Boost, but she feels like it's still stripping her very dry skin.
Yeah, the Moisture Boost, it is a hydrating cleanser to a certain degree. It's tough to make a cleanser hydrating because if you're using, it can be done, but there's always a push-pull because if you're using those, if you're using any amount of surfactant, which most cleansers contain because that's what removes the oil and the makeup and the debris, there's always going to be a push-pull in terms of the surfactants taking away and the hydrating ingredients giving back. So I understand the predicament that you're in right now. If you haven't tried our Resist Optimal Results Hydrating Cleanser, which is a thicker lotion, I think that would be the next product for you to consider from Paula's Choice. We also have, it's coming out later this year, we're launching an oil cleanser that I think would be ideal. Can't say more than that. But it is going to be something that people who have very dry skin, I think, are really going to gravitate toward that type of product. My other suggestion would be for you to look at the creamier cleansers on the market, particularly those from CeraVe's eczema line. I think that could be a potential interim option if you find that the Resist Optimal Results Hydrating Cleanser still isn't quite doing it for you.
Ms. Flockman has a lot of sunspots, dark ones, not freckles.
Okay.
What would be the best treatment for her?
It's multi-pronged. Sunscreen is foundational. So whenever you have dark spots that you know are from sun damage, if you're continuing to get unprotected sun exposure, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot, or shooting a hole in the boat as you're trying to bail out all the water. you have to protect your skin from further sun damage. The next best thing would be to start using a product with 2% hydroquinone. I would also add in a higher strength vitamin C product for brightening properties, and you could also look to use a higher strength niacinamide product, or you could use a product like our Pure Radiance brightening treatment that combines niacinamide with acetylglucosamine and licorice root, I believe, is one of the other key bioactives in that product. Research has shown that for most people with dark spots, it is a combination of course, sun protection and the different ingredients that work on different levels, different pathways on skin surface to help control the look of that hyperpigmentation. And in a lot of cases, particularly for the darker spots, it's the combination of sun protection, topical treatment products, and in-office laser procedures that a dermatologist can offer that can make a big difference. So it's not, that's what I meant by multi-pronged. It's not just one thing. I wish it was that simple. You know, that you could just say, oh, go get some hydroquinone, put it on for 4 weeks, you're good to go. And don't forget the sunscreen. But it isn't. For most people, especially if you have multiple dark spots, it's that combination of skincare and then what a dermatologist can do within a few sessions typically to really improve the appearance of the dark spots. And in some cases, I mean, I've had some that they're gone. There's just no other way to put it. They were zapped by a laser, they're gone. But I'm very cognizant of the fact that they could just as easily come back if I'm not good about sunscreen. Really white guy here.
Paranita Ilani needs a suggestion for blackhead removal. She has dry and sensitive skin.
For blackhead removal, when you have dry, that is it's interesting because you would think, I suspect the blackheads are primarily on your nose because even when you have dry skin, the nose has more oil glands than any other area of the face, and they're concentrated in this little area, and that's where blackheads are most likely to show up. I like a leave-on BHA exfoliant to improve the appearance of blackheads because of the fact that salicylic acid can exfoliate inside the pore lining to get, to some extent, to get to the root of the problem. So the 2% BHA liquid from the Skin Perfecting line would be my go-to for you. Allie, are we still selling the extractor?
Yeah, I just looked it up.
Okay, so you could try we sell a dual-sided metal tool that I believe we call the Professional Blemish Extractor. Yeah, everyone's nodding.
Professional Blemish Extracting Tool.
Extracting tool. Okay.
$14.
Okay. So it's made of surgical stainless steel. You can attempt to use that to manually extract blackheads, but if you haven't done that before, and because some blackheads can be stubborn, you may want to consider seeing an esthetician who has been schooled. This is very important to find out ahead of time. Don't just go to any esthetician and say, I have blackheads, help me with them. Find out if they are schooled in the art and the hygiene practices involved in doing professional extractions. It can be a messy process in the sense that it, honestly, when you see what comes out of your pores, it's actually a little gross. But afterwards, the at-home care and what you can achieve with ongoing use of a BHA exfoliant to smooth skin surface, to help restore a normal flow of oil out of the pore to skin surface, that can prevent blackheads from popping up again. It can play a helpful role in that process, so you won't have to keep going back to the esthetician again and again.
Rim is asking about recommendations for people who have taken Accutane in the past. He has very dry, or they have very dry skin, large pores. So should you be using products for dry skin or acne, or both?
Well, if you still have acne, even though I wasn't clear from the question, or if the person is still on Accutane.
I think in the past.
In the past, okay. Okay, so it's something from the past, and then I mean, Accutane or isotretinoin, as it's generically known, is a pretty serious prescription drug, and its effects on the oil glands can cause permanent changes in skin. The most common being that your skin is never as oily as it once was, and then for some people it can be dry. And then you have that situation where from your oily skin days, your pores enlarged to accommodate the excess oil, but as the oil glands became smaller as a result of taking the Accutane, the pores didn't get the same message and shrink, so now you have dry skin and large pores. If you do not have acne blemishes, you don't need to use acne products. You do need a gentle cleanser, and I would suggest using a moisturizing cleanser that's designed more for normal to dry skin, either our Calm Normal to Dry cleanser, the Moisture Boost, the Earth Source cleanser would be a good option. The Resist Optimal Results Hydrating Cleanser would be an option for you. And in terms of, because exfoliation is so fundamental to so many aspects of skin's appearance, particularly in keeping skin looking young, smooth, refining the look of pores, texture issues, that type of thing. If you're not dealing with clogged pores or breakouts anymore, then you could choose an AHA exfoliant like the Resist Daily Smoothing Treatment or the Skin Perfecting 8% AHA Lotion, which we just launched last month. That would be great. If clogged pores are still a concern, or you're occasionally seeing those bumps that aren't acne, they're just from clogged pores, then a leave-on BHA exfoliant would be the way to go. And we have several, as you know, so you could talk to someone on our client services team to find out which one would be the best for you, given what else you're doing in your routine. And a lot of it does come down to preference. Do you want a liquid? Do you want a gel? Do you want a lotion? Having dry skin, I think that you do well to start with the BHA lotion, but it would be dependent on what else you're using in your routine. If you're using a heavier facial moisturizer, you might find the liquid or the gel is a better option for layering.
Danielle asks to explain, if you can explain how to restore the skin barrier. Whenever I apply anything, it turns red.
That could be due to a compromised skin surface or skin barrier, but it sounds like it's a symptom of a larger problem that needs the attention of a dermatologist. I mean, if it's gotten to the point where even the gentlest, most soothing, or most basic product is causing that reaction, there's something else going on that that needs the attention of a dermatologist. We wouldn't be qualified to give you. It's just something that's I can't, from this perspective, troubleshoot that for you, particularly if you're doing everything right in terms of using gentle, fragrance-free products. I'm sorry.
Marielle Velez says, "Hi Bryan, hello from Bolivia. I love PC products, and I can't find them here, but I get my products imported. I pay almost double, but it's worth it."
Oh, thank you. And I think so too.
And she wants to know what you
Bootlegging.
what you think about Witch Hazel.
I'm not a big fan of Witch Hazel because of its tannins, which ironically, its tannins are a big part of what gives Witch Hazel its antioxidant and soothing quality, but they can also be constricting and irritating. And then in almost every case, the Witch Hazel you buy commercially at the store, regardless of what else is in it, and most of them are just water and pure Witch Hazel, but alcohol is used in the distillation process to get that Witch Hazel extracted from the plant itself and mixed with water. So you're always getting some amount of skin damaging alcohol when you're using Witch Hazel. It isn't an ingredient that you can just completely say is terrible for skin. It really is, like so many plant extracts, it's a mixed bag of pros and cons. I mean, we were just talking about this yesterday in terms of there is the main antioxidant compound in rosemary is rosmarinic acid, and that in and of itself extracted from the plant is a brilliant antioxidant for skin. It doesn't have those volatile, fragrant components that would make rosemary oil a problem to put on skin. So there's variations in that, and I think it would be nice if only the beneficial compounds from witch hazel could be extracted and used to create witch hazel. But because as a consumer in a store, you can't know that. You can't, and if you call the company, they probably don't know or they won't tell you. So it's almost like our advice has to be just don't use it, because there are too many great ingredients for skin that only bring benefits and no potential problems. So just use those instead. There's a wealth of them to choose from, and a lot of them are natural.
Issa Bird asks, if I mix my serum with the oil booster, does the oil hinder the serum's ability to penetrate?
No. The ingredients are going to get into the skin, into the uppermost layers where they need to go. They may take a bit longer to get there, but they will eventually have the same impact. You also have to keep in mind that all of the oils in our oil booster are also sources of antioxidants. So you have all of those oil-soluble antioxidants naturally present in the non-fragrant plant oils, and then those penetrate to a certain extent, and then you have the water-soluble antioxidants, and those tend to stay more on skin surface. It can depend on the delivery system of the product too, but what's cool about that is that you're giving multiple layers of skin's surface antioxidant protection, antioxidant defense, I suppose would be a better word. So I kind of like that approach, actually.
Elena Kaminarova wants to know the difference between retinoate and retinol.
Honestly, it comes down to the shape of the molecule. Retinoates tend to, because of their shape, they tend to have a different mode of penetration into skin's uppermost layers. Not a big difference. I believe with the retinoates, there's also a compatibility thing in terms of the formula, and that the retinoates tend to be more compatible with a wider range of cosmetic ingredients than retinol, although retinol is pretty darn compatible as long as you are taking care to package it correctly, because no matter what it's paired with, even those good antioxidants, it can still be, it remains prone to breaking down in the presence of light and air, which is why we say don't buy retinol products in clear packaging, never buy a retinol product in a jar. Philosophy just came out with a skin oil that has retinol in it, and it's packaged in a brown glass bottle with a black cap, and then you get these cotton pads, these facial pads that are in a jar. And what you're supposed to do when you get this set home is to uncap the liquid with the retinol in it, dump it over the pads, and then cap the jar, and then you use the pad, one pad per night. The retinol is going to be gone within days of doing that. I hate seeing products like that, because it's actually a really nice formula for the most part, and kind of an innovative way to look at creating a facial oil that contains a tried and true anti-aging ingredient. But why they did this packaging, and actually are telling their customers to dump it onto these pads, which every time you take that cap off the jar and get a new pad out, the retinol is getting weaker and weaker and weaker. It's just bad. It's just bad packaging. Good formula, bad packaging. Don't buy that product. Or if you do, just use it out of the bottle.
Ash is wondering if you can mix niacinamide with the vitamin C booster together to apply, or should they apply the niacinamide first, then mix the vitamin C with the serum and apply?
It's personal preference. I typically don't use the niacinamide booster because I'm one of those people, like, niacinamide booster is something that Paula just loves. Like, you will have to pry it out of her cold dead hand, along with the 2% BHA liquid in the other hand. I don't notice the benefit from 10% niacinamide that a lot of other people do. likely because the combination of products that I use, and C15 is one of them, has given me the results. It's not going to get any better, I guess is what I'm getting at. What I do notice that niacinamide helps with is even skin tone on my arms. So I kind of just use a 10% niacinamide booster there, and it works really well. But in terms of your usage, there's no reason that you can't mix a few drops of niacinamide booster with C15, apply to your face, and then follow with the serum. I would say experiment with the different modes of application to see what feels best to you. It's also perfectly fine to mix the booster, the C15, and the serum, and then apply. So you can try that too.
Let's see. Diana 8 Matienzo
Hi, Diana.
Says she has no questions now, but would really love to thank you for your amazing assortment of vegan products and recyclable packaging on top of your phenomenal skincare. I love you, PC team.
Oh, thank you so much, Diana. Well, we try our best. We are, yeah, a big part of what I do with Paula and other members of the product development team is look at new ingredients, new blends, new concepts, and determine what would make the most sense for Paula's choice. What has the most substantial research behind it, not just the research that the ingredient supplier has done, because to a certain degree they all have research saying, look how fantastic our ingredients are. That can be very good, and some of the studies are very well done, but we always look at what the independent scientific research has said and then compare and contrast, and if it's pretty much even Steven, as they say, that type of ingredient is something that we would look at pursuing more and working into one or more of the products that you end up using. We do endeavor to use vegan ingredients when possible. There are certain times when ingredients that wouldn't meet the, I don't know, is there a standard vegan? Without going down a big rabbit hole, there isn't necessarily a standardized list that I've seen of like, these ingredients are okay with all vegans, these ingredients are not okay. There's a bit of a gray area and some crossover depending on how vegan you are. So all I can say though is if there is a suitable alternative that is vegan friendly, we will use that. And of course, as you pointed out, several of our products are vegan friendly and free of any ingredients that most vegans would consider unacceptable for use in skincare products.
This is a really good one. MM027 says, I live for Paula's Choice and been a true blue fan since I started using PC 5 years ago. Could you please remind people why Paula created an eye cream? There are apparently a lot of people who seem confused.
Still? No, I don't mean to make fun. It does to some degree. It's still a controversial product for us. What really inspired us to create an eye cream was a while back we had an independent company do a large survey of existing Paula's Choice customers and beauty consumers in general that had varying degrees of familiarity with our brand. And then there was a group that had never heard of Paula's Choice before. What was most interesting, one of the biggest takeaways from that survey, and this was I think it was well over 100,000 people, the Paula's Choice customers that were loving our products, seeing great results, when we asked the question, what are some skincare items that you're not buying from Paula's Choice, eye cream was far and away the number one thing that people said that they were buying from another brand. And it was really at that point where we saw the writing on the wall and said, this is just something that we have to stop fighting in a sense. It's interesting though, we still maintain the philosophy that not everyone needs an eye cream. If the moisturizer that you're using, if the serum that you're using is gentle, is well formulated, is fragrance free, you can use it around the eyes. However, people, as we age, the skin around our eyes can become different. So what we've said is that if the skin around your eyes is markedly different from the skin on the rest of your face, or if you just want to give your eye area a little something extra, which a lot of us do, and there's nothing wrong with that as long as you're using a well-formulated product. That is why we created our eye cream, and we endeavored to make it a very different texture and experience than using our facial moisturizers around your eye, which I still recommend, and then following with the eye cream. So when I do my routine at night, and I use our eye cream at night and our new eye gel that I mentioned earlier during the day, and then sunscreen, at night I still put my serum or facial moisturizer. I sometimes don't double up on those because I have combination skin, but let's just say I'm using skin balancing moisturizer. I'll put that up around the orbital bone of my eye, and then I do a layer of the eye cream. And one of the things that I love about our eye cream is that you can still feel and see its benefits the next day. That is by design. That's part of the reason the eye cream is so thick and balm-like. We tried several eye creams during the development process, and most of us were dismayed that what you put on at night, and oh yeah, I'm using an eye cream and this feels really silky and nice, it was gone by the morning. I mean, by the morning, it was kind of like, why did I bother using an eye cream? I'm not really seeing any benefit from that, and I may as well just go back to using my moisturizer on my eye and call it a day. We wanted ours to be different, so there you have it. Our customers were wanting an eye cream. We didn't want them buying an eye cream from somebody else and getting one that was packaged in a jar or contained fragrance or synthetic coloring agents or irritating plant extracts. So we formulated the best eye cream we knew how to do. And now we've got a gel.
TLJ says, hi Bryan, I really struggle with all sunscreens. I have very sensitive skin and dry skin that breaks out with any sunscreen. I have tried a lot of PC sunscreens, but do you have any advice?
This is one of those, I'm so sorry, and I applaud you for continuing to experiment because sun protection is that important. My advice, though, is really just to keep experimenting until you find that one that works. I wish there was a product or a combination of sunscreen actives I could say, oh, try this. Look for 10% zinc oxide and 2% titanium dioxide, and that should do it. That might do it if you find that particular type of product, but you have to experiment to find out. Keep the guidelines in mind of looking for a product that's fragrance-free. You want SPF 30. If you run across an SPF 20 or 25 and you're thinking, this looks like it might be really good, but Paula's Choice says SPF 30 or greater, I'd be willing to say give that a try, because even though SPF 20 to 25 is below the new recommendation of SPF 30, I would rather you wear a lower SPF, or even a 15, than no SPF, for sure. Clinique has some good options in their line. Olay has some good options that include zinc oxide. That's just skin. I'm trying to think of some mineral sunscreens. We have been using for my son when he plays outdoors, because really kids do best with the mineral sunscreens. You can't tell a 2.5-year-old don't rub your eyes. They just will. So the mineral sunscreens tend to be the least potentially irritating if they get in the eye. We have been using a sunscreen for him from MD Solar Sciences. They make several, I believe most, if not all of them, are mineral based. You could take a look at that brand. But again, these aren't slam dunk solutions for you. These are just suggestions as you continue to experiment, because I'm trying to help you narrow down the field. There are more and more mineral sunscreens on the market, which I think is kind of cool, because I personally feel that they work the best to prevent any color change to skin. And I can just anecdotally, this past summer in Michigan, I wear a t-shirt almost every day, and I've been using one of the newer, just as far as experimenting, I'm using one of the newer sunscreens from Banana Boat. Of course, the name's escaping me right now. But it's designed to feel very weightless, and it pretty much does. It's a lotion that goes on kind of like a cream, and then when it sets, you barely feel it on the skin. But it's got the avobenzone and octisalate and octinoxate and whatnot, and it's SPF 50 and it's broad spectrum. I get color from that. My arms actually start getting tan from that sunscreen. And I use a mineral sunscreen on my face, either the SkinCeuticals one that I've talked about before, or I have started using our the Resist Super Light Daily Wrinkle Defense SPF 30, and I don't get a speck of color from mineral sunscreens. And it's just, I have a feeling it's just due to the way the minerals work in UV light versus the way the so-called, I just bit my tongue, synthetic sunscreen actives work. I'm not getting a burn from the synthetic sunscreen actives, and I'm not seeing like super damaged skin, but I am seeing some subtle color that I never get when I just use minerals.
Spandana, great name, is wondering what your opinion is on oil cleansing.
I like it. Okay, here's what I like. I like oil cleansers that emulsify, meaning you can use them with water and they go on like an oil and then they kind of turn into a milky emulsion. I think those are much more elegant to use and absolutely easier to rinse than a straight oil. Not as big of a fan of just using a straight castor oil or jojoba oil or name your plant oil, just a straight up oil to cleanse. They work in terms of removing makeup and breaking down sunscreen and whatnot, but they can be tricky to rinse. You're often wiping at your skin with a washcloth or maybe being a little too aggressive with your Clarisonic or cleansing brush. Whereas the emulsion type oil cleansers, which of course have oils in them, are formulated to be water rinsed. And I think that gives you the best of both worlds, because that type of cleanser can be brilliant for breaking up long-wearing makeup, waterproof formulas, water-resistant sunscreens, mineral sunscreens. What I don't necessarily go for is the concept of using an oil cleanser to double cleanse. I don't think that's necessary for most people. You can, if you want to do a double cleanse, you can use an oil and then your regular cleanser, but then you could also just wash your face twice with your regular cleanser, or use your regular cleanser with a washcloth. So for most people, it isn't an extra step that they need to go through. I've used the type of oil cleansers I just talked about liking on my own, and found that they take everything off. I use my toner afterwards and I'm not seeing any residue or anything like that. So to me, following that product with a regular cleanser would be a waste of time, and I want to get through my skincare routine quickly. I want to do what I need to do, but I want to get through it quickly. And so cleansing twice, if it's really not necessary, just doesn't make sense to me. Kind of expanded on that, but...
Maria Soledad wants to know what you think about using rice water as a toner. She says, I've tried to look into it, but there doesn't seem to be much research on it.
Probably because it's not all that exciting. Rice water would have some starch in it. It would have trace amounts of protein, some vitamins, some minerals, maybe a little bit of fiber. It really wouldn't have much benefit for the skin. I suppose after that, after using it, your skin might feel a little bit tighter, but it's temporary feeling, no real benefit there. I would absolutely steer you towards using a well-formulated toner that contains a variety of ingredients. And I'm sure you can find, if you're curious about rice or rice bran, because rice bran, like rice bran extract, can have some antioxidant benefit for skin and maybe even some hydrating benefit. But look for that ingredient in a toner that contains ceramides and glycerin and soothing plant extracts, maybe even some peptides or green tea or other antioxidants. Don't just tone with one basic product like rice water or coconut water, or definitely not, so I know some people like using rose water. It's just floral water. It's just fragrance. It'll tone, but that's about it. It'll irritate a little bit.
Okay, I think we have time for one more question.
Okay.
Allie S says, what is your opinion on waiting between skincare steps? I have heard people, mainly on Reddit, that they sometimes wait hours between acids and serums to get a better effect.
Oh, Reddit and skincare addiction. Everyone has their different methods. I think the dialogue that they exchange on there, for the most part, is really cool. It's fascinating how many people are so passionate about the minutia of skincare. I don't get the waiting hours. I would never tell anybody to do that. It's just really not necessary. And what, are you going to start your nighttime routine at 5:30? And then at 11 o'clock before you get into bed, then you do step 2? And what happens in between there? You know, what if you want to go out for a drink? What if somebody comes over? What if, I mean, I hear that and I think, how does that work in real life? And there has to be an easier way to get through the routine, and there is. And the solution is you don't have to wait at all, really, between steps. There is no truth to the notion that if you have to wait for your skin to go back to a certain pH after you're using your cleanser before you put your AHA on, and then you can't put anything over the AHA for several minutes because as soon as you put something on top of the AHA, it's going to raise the pH and the AHA won't be effective. It would be impossible to apply enough of any product over an acidic product to actually raise the pH to the point where it was no longer effective. The pH needs to be low enough in a leave-on exfoliant or peel for those ingredients to do their job really within a matter of minutes. How many minutes is up for debate. We're still not big fans of cleansers, for example, that contain AHA or BHA because you're just not leaving that cleanser on long enough for it to really have an impact. Not to mention, from a chemistry standpoint, it's difficult to get those ingredients to deposit themselves on skin and not somehow be mixed up with the surfactants and then washed away. How do you leave those water-soluble ingredients behind on the skin? It's very tricky to do. But the main point is that you do not have to wait between the steps, and that applying something immediately after an exfoliant, I do that. My skin is nice and exfoliated. I absolutely see benefit from using AHA and BHA exfoliants, and I have a life. I'm not waiting around all night to go to the next step. I just don't get it. I mean, if you have, I'm sorry. That's just not something I can get behind. And we're wrapping up. I feel like I was just like being a total a-hole, and I didn't mean to be. With all due respect to people on the skincare addiction forum, I think the majority of you are fighting the good fight, so to speak. You know, you're all, if I can be so bold, cosmetic cops in your own right, and your passion for skincare is admirable. But when I hear those questions, I just get a little like, you don't need to do that. Don't waste your time. There's so many other things you could be doing with your evening, with your morning. I mean, like, what do you do when it's still daylight out and you want to go outside, but you've already washed your face because you have to wait 5 hours to put your acid on? Do you go outside without sunscreen? Do you wear a veil? I mean, I'm sorry, I'm just having a hard time wrapping my brain around that. But I do thank you for your questions. I love spending this time with you. We are looking at ways for me to do this more often, potentially from my home office in Michigan. So it doesn't have to wait until I get to Seattle for a chance to interact like this with you guys. So stay tuned, keep watching, keep sending your questions in, and thank you so much for sharing and spreading the love about Paula's Choice. Honestly, the biggest reward of my job is knowing that our products are making a difference for so many people. As I cannot tell you how good that feels. It's one thing for me to say I think our products are fantastic, but to hear it from you and the changes that you've experienced and how much you look forward to what we're doing next. It's just brilliant. So thank you. Thank you so much. And I'll talk to you soon.